me one thing. Most of the people who apply, majority of the people who apply, they come from, families like ours, very middle class families. Not everybody has lot of savings, and there's a psychological gap that says, can I afford an international MBA? How will I get the money? Is it worth it? Should I get loan? Where should I get the money from? And a lot of people go through this while they're preparing for GMAT. Even I get a lot of emails from people saying that, if I get in, how will I get the money? And I don't have a rich father. I don't come from a very rich family. Can you give us more understanding of how tough or how easy was it for you to manage financial aid, get loans, and how easy was it to pay the EMIs, and how did you go about it?
So, I mean, one of the things that, and you're absolutely right. I went through the exact same situation. I remember I reached out to you after Rotman, and I said, and you suggested, hey, why don't you email them and explain your financial situation? And I was fortunate enough. I actually got a scholarship after I came here, after I joined, like actually after 3 months after joining Rotman, I actually got a scholarship.
Wow.
But that was actually thanks to you, because you made me send that email out saying, hey, explain your situation to them, because oftentimes what happens is offer a lot of scholarship, but certain people either chose not to join the college. There are folks who, join the college and then say, you know what, I'm going to take a year break. So you could get a scholarship at that point of time, and it would work out. There are a few other things that I didn't know at that time. Had I known, it would have been a much easier decision for me to do an MBA. And in Canada, one of the things that you do get as not just Rotman MBA, but as an MBA grad or a postgraduate student, is that you get tax credit, which is basically a credit that you are paying, that you get refunded for when you actually start earning. And that is a significant amount of money. It's about $35,000 that you get back as a tax return after you finish your MBA and after you start earning and after you start paying your taxes. It's the refund that you get. I'm not saying you get $35,000 as a cash thing. Once you've paid about $10,000, you might get $10,000 back as a refund. You pay another $20,000, you get $20,000 back as a refund up to a certain point of your credit for your MBA fees. I didn't know that, right? So when I got that money back, it was like, okay, here's my India loan. You know what I mean? Like, that was the money that I paid off my India loan. And I said, done, right? It was second year I paid off my India loan, and I was like, oh, wow.
Wow.
Phew. Right? So then the second part of it was that Rotman offers this association with certain banks wherein you could get, I don't know how it works now, honestly. It's been a while. So don't hold me to it, but I know that Rotman had an association with a few banks around who would offer you 50% of your loan or fees as a loan. So that was great. And then again, few other things that you would learn is that if you stay in the campus accommodation, graduate house, you have a certain amount of fees. But if you share your room with a few other people, your friends, your the living cost goes down completely. I know there were struggling days. I know there were days when, I would not be sure. So, oh my God, what do I call my parents and ask them for money at this point of time when they just sent it to me? Or what do I do? How do I manage the next 10 days before I ask my parents for more money, or a month before I ask them for more? So there were days, there were those situations, but once you graduate, and looking back at 6 years, the time frame since I've graduated, I don't know of anyone who hasn't been able to pay off their loan. I don't know of anyone who's struggled financially. I know people have struggled for a few years, 1 or 2 years after graduation. They've looked for a job. They found some intermediate job just to hold them over so that they can, and one of the things is the banks allow you 1 year time before you have to start making payments. So that helps, because in that 1 year, you could look for opportunities for those who weren't fortunate enough to get campus placements. So those were the kind of things I know. Speaking of it, it sounds, very easy. I know that I understand your question. I understand the concerns that people have when it comes to this. But at the same time, what I would like to say is that it will work out. It depends on why you want to do your MBA. If you want to do your MBA just because you want to add MBA next to your resume and you don't mean it, you don't want to do your MBA to progress, it's not going to work out for you. You're going to, you're going to maybe find a job, but the next 2 years, you're going to be stuck at that job. You're not going to make progress. But if you want to do your MBA because you want to grow, because you look at that ambition saying, okay, in 5 years, I want to make to this position. In 10 years, I want to be here. And you work towards it. You're making that, step-by-step progression. These things won't matter. And I remember one of the things that is amazing about Rotman, the first thing when we came to college, they asked us to prepare a cost benefit analysis. So they basically said, you've paid these, 100,000, 150,000. Had you invested in stock market versus investing in an MBA, do you think you are going to come out of it? At what point in your career are you going to come out of it? When I first did it, I had a negative $1.1 million at the end of 60 years. And I was like, what have I done? Like, I could have just simply invested in stock market and I would have been $1.1 million richer when I was 60. But you don't anticipate all the other positives that come out of it. You get better progression because you have an MBA. The learning that you get, you apply in your job makes you a differentiator between somebody who doesn't have an MBA. Right? You are much more structured. You learn about, how to do an Excel while doing this and combine those. You learn about problem. One of the things that Rotman teaches you and really forces on you is that you need to break down problems and you need to think about it saying, okay, am I looking at this big problem or am I looking at the small one and solving it? And then this small one and solving it. So those were the kind of learning that I got from my MBA that I wouldn't have had it without it. So I know how I used to deal with problems when I was pre-MBA versus how I deal with problems now. Both in my work, both in my personal life. I don't, like before MBA, I never thought about money, right? I used to get my paycheck and then, oh, what's the new Apple phone that's launched? Go buy it, right? And now as you grow, and not just because of MBA, but as you grow, you learn, okay, now I need to save something. But those are something that obviously is talked about in your MBA. How do you save money? How do you, not directly, but inherently it comes up. This guy made this money from $10 to $1,000 by investing in stock, but he didn't do it just by, randomly picking one stock. He did it structurally. He thought about what are the fundamentals of the firm. He did his research. And when you go do that with that MBA experience, you are much more structured. There is this risk averse versus, fairly risky things that you would do. And you would realize, oh, no, that's too risky. My MBA has taught me better. I cannot be that risky when it comes to my money. I need to be much more careful. 10%, I could be very risky. I could just throw away that money. I've saved it. That's completely my discretionary spending. I could throw that money away. And my fundamentals should be strong. I need to save this much. I need to, and those are the things that come up and that you learn from your MBA. So when the cost benefit analysis, just pure mathematically, doesn't really work out. Would I be 1.1 million richer had I not done my MBA? Probably not. I would have still spent on everything else and I would have come out of it zero. Right? Or I might have been in that same position, never earning or never getting the growth up to a certain point. I might have grown, I might have worked hard, but after a certain point, they would say, you don't have an MBA. I'm not really confident if you could be a VP of a firm. But now I have the confidence. I could go, yeah, I could, I think I could do it. I mean, there's nothing stopping me. I have my education to back me. I have my skills to back me. Nothing is stopping me from approaching a VP position or a partner position because you take away that fear in your MBA. You learn on how to get organized. You learn how to do it better. So pros and cons, yes and no. At the end of the day, money is money. It depends on your financial situation. Where do you want to be? But I would strongly suggest that if you want to spend money on something, then learning, there is nothing better than learning. You could invest in stocks. You could buy a house. You could, invest in whatever gold and just keep it aside. but nothing beats the learning aspect of it. That's the one thing that I would always suggest to